leaders many times don't prepare. They don't prepare for the interview. And so it's this shotgun approach. And it's, to me, it feels like if I didn't prepare for you and I just, threw out some random questions and I didn't think, well, what is it that I need to know on behalf of the EntreLeadership audience? Like, I'm simply asking questions for the people listening and watching. That's what I'm doing. But if I didn't think about that and prepare for that, it's just not going to be as good of an interview. I just want you to speak to that, because I think that's a massive blind spot for leaders. They don't prepare for interviews like I prepare to do an interview.
Well, I appreciate your preparation for this interview, and it shows. Same goes for regular interview. It's even worse out there in the entrepreneurial world, where folks do feel a lot of time pressure. They're running and gunning, and not only are they not prepared for the person coming into their office to interview, they might not even have a interview method or a format. There's a guy once who was trying to tell me that he had a way of cutting the interview time down by not having to prepare, but he'd ask candidates what kind of animal they would be and why. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Well, so what are the right answers, right? And so this guy was joking with me and saying, well, if they're a bear, it means this, or a fish, it means that. And I thought, well, that's something. Who knows? Maybe my research is, and I've missed it all along. I asked him, how accurate is your approach? And he said, well, it's terrible. It's not even 50% accurate, but at least it's not boring.
Oh my gosh. That's Exhibit A to my point there. That's Exhibit A right there.
That's right. You bet. So if you're going to scattergun it and just kind of freestyle an interview, you're going to waste time. You're going to make costly hiring mistakes. At the highest level, preparation looks like something within Geoff Smart, my firm, we call it empathic imagination. So in addition to having the interview questions, which you can get out of the Who book, to Google search the person you're interviewing, look at their LinkedIn ahead of time, put yourself in their shoes. All right, given this, let's assume this is my background. What are my concerns? What are my likely strengths? What are my career goals? All that, to really kind of put yourself in their shoes, looking at their background, and then to fine tune your interview questions accordingly can help you get to the heart of who someone really is and make a good hiring decision.
Yeah. All right. So let's move to sealing the deal. Now you got the A players, but when they're A players, Geoff, it's kind of like trying to sway that free agent. If you're a sports fan out there, they can choose. They got every team lining up for their services. You got to close the deal. Teach us a bit from the book. There's 5 specific ways. You cover those however you so choose.
Yeah, so I asked these billionaire entrepreneurs, I said, hey, not only how'd you hire your best people, but then how'd you convince them to join your company? And it seemed like their advice fell into 5 categories, and we called it then the 5 F's of selling. And Ken, I think entrepreneurs are pretty good at selling generally. So they want to know like what am I selling? So the 5 things to sell when you're trying to get someone to say yes to your job offer are fit, family, freedom, fortune, and fun. Mm-hmm. So fit is you sell, hey candidate, our scorecard here for what we're looking for fits your background beautifully, what you're good at, what you love doing. Let me show you how. So selling the fit probably is the best of the 5 to really emphasize. The next one, family. This doesn't mean asking people illegal questions like, are you planning on starting a family or anything like that? So you don't want to ask people that. Don't ask anybody whether they're pregnant or planning to become pregnant. These are stupid questions, illegal questions. That's not what this is about. What this is about is saying, hey, are significant others in your life supportive of your taking a job at my company? And if you're trying to hire someone away from a big company to a small entrepreneurial company, you better make sure you have, other key advisors or significant others in this person's family on board. Otherwise, they're not going to come. Next is fortune, which is, I found entrepreneurs sometimes paint this overly rosy picture of, oh, you're going to make a ton of money if you come join my company. I think what's more important than painting a really optimistic, rosy picture is to paint a more practical picture. Hey, my first CFO, and this is a true story. I was telling this guy, Ron, oh, you're going to make a ton of money here at Geoff Smart. And he said, well, that's lovely, but I need to save for college and pay the mortgage. Like, how much money can I expect if we're successful? So what I did with this guy, and this is a great piece of advice for other entrepreneurs, is grid out with your key hires. Hey, look, your income, your cash and bonus, et cetera, is going to increase as we increase the revenue and profits of our business, boop, 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 like this. So we we made a grid, and as we grew the business, I increased the base and bonus and stock grants of this key hire, right on plan. I was able to hire him, whereas if I was more vague, I don't think he would have said yes. Let's see here. What are some of the other ones?
We got freedom and fun.
Yeah, all right. So freedom's important because everybody, it seems these days, doesn't want to be micromanaged. They want to be able to be held accountable for results, not the how, but the what. And so just emphasizing to candidates, hey, look, you're really good. We're going to agree on goals, and then we're going to have at it, and you're going to have a lot of autonomy and freedom to make it happen. And then the fun part is, it's not parties on a Friday or foosball or that kind of thing, but really what's the most fun part of your culture, of the actual day-to-day work, and then really emphasizing that. So if you sell the fit, family, fortune, freedom, and fun, you are essentially covering all the bases of the things people most often look for when they're saying yes to a job.
All right. So again, given a great overview, because this book is just chock full of practical goodness. Chapter 6 is your greatest opportunity. Why do you entitle it that? Because as soon as I turn through there, I see, okay, how to install the A method. We're going to get to that in a minute. But why do you call it your greatest opportunity?
Yeah. So hiring stinks for a lot of people. They hate it. It's a pain. Mm-hmm. They get it wrong. It's expensive, right? So I think the topic of hiring carries with it this almost like PTSD space in entrepreneurs' minds. So we try to shift it from this is your biggest problem to this is your biggest opportunity. Imagine if you could improve your superhero powers to get it right, not half the time, but 90% of the time. Just imagine what that will do for your business and growing it. So it's kind of like a final pep talk on, hey, look, get good at this. Not many people are good at it. If you can get really good at hiring, you're going to be able to make more money, have more impact on the world, have less hassles and pain and suffering as you go. And and we're not the only ones, and the people in the book aren't the only ones saying this. Richard Branson, if you're a big Richard Branson fan, he's a pretty cool entrepreneur. In his last book, he said hiring is your biggest opportunity for success in building your business. Eric Schmidt, the chairman of Google, in his last book said hiring is your number one opportunity to be successful. You got to get good at that skill. So it's just basically like a final pep talk that says, hey, look, this doesn't have to be a pain, and you don't have to get it wrong half the time. It could be your greatest source of strength.
All right. And so in this final chapter, you lay out 10 things that the leader needs to do to install the A method for hiring. I want to review those in a second, but let's pull everything together we've just talked about. So they're sitting there listening, they're going, okay, Geoff, we don't do it this way. In short, what is the A method? Pull it all together for them. What are they doing? What's it look like from an overview?
Yeah, so from an overview, the A method for hiring is moving from a gut feel, intuition, kind of a haphazard approach to this problem of hiring, to instead following 4 very clear steps that'll allow you to achieve 90% success. So writing down with the criteria, that's the scorecard. Number 2, sourcing in great candidates. Number 3, following one or more of those interview methods to really pinpoint who the good ones are and the not so good ones. And then 4th and finally, using the 5 F's of selling to actually get your dream candidate to say yes. So following those 4 steps brings you a 90% chance of success, and not following the 4 steps gives you a 50% chance of success. So in a nutshell, it basically says stop hiring with your gut, because your gut's going to be wrong at least half the time. Start hiring with a minimal level of discipline, and you're going to have more impact and more career success than you ever imagined.
There you go. So folks, the reason I asked Geoff to do that is because when you think about how simple he just laid it out, now it's not a function of what to do. It is, okay, we've got to do this. We've got to systematize this. We've got to take this and make this go throughout our organization. And Geoff, we've got people, this is the ultimate small business audience, which in the United States is still 500 team members and less. So we've got people with 500 team members. We've got some with 5. Obviously, I'm asking this next question for those who have, multiple people within their building that are doing some type of hiring. How do you best recommend that our audience begin to implement this? Not the actual process you described, that's clear, the book lays it out, but to begin to say, we've been doing it this way, because people hate change, Geoff.
Change is horrible.
Oh, he had bad pizza. He woke up at 2 a.m. He read this book named Who. Now I got to do all this stuff differently. This is a bunch of nonsense.
You bet. People hate change, and they hate it when you're vague about what you expect. What they do like is simple tools to do something better. So I guess I'm going to joke a little bit and say there's an expensive way to implement Who, and then there's the entrepreneurial way. The expensive way is to hire my firm, and we'll do it for millions of dollars for you. But generally, our target client is billion in revenue and up, which is not your audience. So skip that one. The entrepreneur way to do this is, the Who book's pretty inexpensive for free, and you don't even need to buy the book for this. I offer a scorecard template, the interview guides, all at my geoffsmart.com website. It's called Smart Tools. So all of our books, a while back, we made a strategic decision. We didn't really want to make any money on the templates and forms and the how-to guides and that kind of thing for our books. We just wanted to help entrepreneurs. So it's free. So basically, the super easy, inexpensive way to do this is, if you love the book, just go grab the templates and the guides. And then what you do, typically entrepreneurs say, hey, everybody, we're going to follow this approach to hiring, but we're going to start with, why don't you all write a scorecard for your own roles? Wouldn't it be nice to even get clear on what are my priorities? What am I focused on getting done? So that's like one thing. And then hey, everybody, now that we're going to be doing these interviews, rather than have to memorize them or have the book open while you're interviewing people, here are these simple one-page cheat sheets on how to do these interviews correctly. So I feel really good about that. We had thousands of people downloading these free tools, and that's a great way to get started on having your team follow a process that works for better hiring.